What do you know about Pompeii? And what do you know about Mount Vesuvius? Maybe you've heard of these before. Mount Vesuvius is one of the most well-known volcanoes in the world. It is located in Italy on the Gulf of Naples, about 14 kilometers from the city of Naples. It's nearly 1.3 kilometers high, and geologists estimate it to be about 17,000 years old. It has erupted over 50 times during the last 2,000 years and is still active. Right next to the volcano's slopes live over 3 million people. More people live dangerously close to Mount Vesuvius than to any other volcano anywhere in the world. Mount Vesuvius's most famous eruption happened in 79 AD, when it erupted continuously for just over 1 day. The eruption killed thousands of people and completely buried the nearby city of Pompeii under many, many meters of ash. The same eruption also killed everybody in the nearby town of Herculaneum, with temperatures reaching hundreds of degrees Celsius. The people there died instantly, wherever they were, standing, sitting, walking, or running. They died the moment the heat touched them. The town of Pompeii was completely lost, buried under the volcanic ash, and archaeologists didn't rediscover it until the 18th century. Once they began excavating the city, they discovered the people and animals who had died in the eruption. Their bodies had not been burned away like in Herculaneum, but had become buried and encased in volcanic ash, which solidified around them. After the bodies rotted away, they left hollows in the volcanic ash, just like a mold, and the archaeologists poured plaster into these holes to create the famous statues of the dead. Here is a dramatization of the last day of Pompeii. So let's look at this text. A killer sleeps above the city. Mount Vesuvius is one of the most well-known volcanoes in the world. It is located in Italy on the Gulf of Naples, about 14 kilometers from the city of Naples. Mount Vesuvius is about 1,277 meters high and measures about 48 kilometers around its base. Geologists estimate it to be about 17,000 years old. Vesuvius is the only volcano on the European mainland that has erupted during the last century and is still active. It has erupted over 50 times during the last 2,000 years. Now let's look closely at the first words from the text. A killer sleeps above the city. Now this type of sentence is what we call a simple sentence because it has a subject, a verb, and an object. Subject, verb, object. The most simple type of sentence there is. But all simple sentences have a subject and a verb, but they don't always have to have an object. For example, a killer sleeps. This is also a short sentence, but this one, it only has a subject and a verb. There is no object. But these are simple sentences. So some sentences don't have an object, but some sentences do have an object. Now, here is another sentence from the text. Geologists estimate it to be about 17,000 years old. Now, can you spot the subject of this sentence? Yes, that's right. Geologists. The sentence is all about geologists. This is the subject. Next, what is the verb in this sentence? What is the main action in our sentence? Did you spot it? Estimate. It is the geologists. Those are the people who do the action. They estimate. Now, is there an object in this sentence? Well, yes, there is, but it's only a small one. It's just a little pronoun, it. So, geologists estimate it to be about 17,000 years old. Now, this sentence is an active sentence, so it's called active voice. And an active voice sentence is when the subject, geologists, is the person or thing that does the action. And the subject does the action, the subject does the verb, and the verb happens to the object. This is important. When we write in an active sentence, the sentence is all about the subject. This sentence is all about geologists. It's all about what geologists do. They estimate something, okay? So when we write in an active sentence, a normal sentence really, then that's what it's about, the subject. Now, open your notebooks and copy these sentences into your notebooks. You'll need a red, a green, and a blue pencil or marker because you are going to highlight the subject in red, the main verb in green, and the object in blue. So, copy these 5 sentences into your notebook, highlight the individual words, and when you're finished, come back to the video. But for now, press pause and copy the sentences. Okay, you should have finished copying out these sentences and highlighting the subject, the verb, and the object. Now let's check to see if you got it the same as me. Number 1, Vesuvius destroyed Pompeii in only a day. The subject is Vesuvius. Vesuvius is our subject. The sentence is all about Vesuvius. What did Vesuvius do? What is the verb, the action? It destroyed something. And then, what did it destroy? Now here, we only need to really select the word Pompeii. Because the words in only a day, this is the time. It's like an extra piece of information. Okay? Vesuvius destroyed Pompeii. That's the simple sentence. Number 2, what is the subject? It is the eruption. What did the eruption do? It killed. Now, this time, if we look at the rest of the words, most of Pompeii's inhabitants, do we need to select all of it, or some of it, or just one word? Well, we don't want to change the meaning in this sentence. If we only choose the word inhabitants, the people who live there, then what we've chosen is the eruption killed inhabitants. But we don't know which inhabitants if we only choose those words. It could be the inhabitants of any city. Okay, why don't we just choose Pompeii's inhabitants? Well, if we choose that, then we have the eruption killed Pompeii's inhabitants. And that sounds like the eruption killed everybody, all of Pompeii's inhabitants. And that's not true. It killed most of them, but not all of them. Some people escaped. So for this sentence, we must be careful not to change the meaning. So all of this, most of Pompeii's inhabitants, this is our object. Now let's check number 3. Some people used boats to escape. The subject is some people. Okay, not all the people, but some of them. What did they do? They used something. What did they use? Boats. And the words to escape, that is the reason why some people use boats. It's extra words. Number 4, archaeologists rediscovered the city in the 18th century. The subject is archaeologists. What did they do? They rediscovered. What did they rediscover? The city. And the extra words in the 18th century is just the time. So we don't need to highlight that. Now, number 5. Scientists know that Vesuvius is still very dangerous. Now, this sentence is a bit more different to the others. First of all, it's in the present tense. All the other sentences are in the past tense. Now, first of all, what is the subject? Scientists. Now, what is it that the scientists do? They know. What do they know? Now, they know something about Vesuvius. Okay, they know Vesuvius is still very dangerous. Maybe we could highlight Vesuvius is still very dangerous. Later, when we convert this into a passive voice, you will find out why we're not highlighting everything. It's because we need to keep moving all of these pieces of the sentence around. Okay? But if you've got something close to this, then you're doing a great job. But number 5 is a bit more difficult. Now, there is another way to write the sentence. Yesterday, we looked at using the passive voice, and everybody found it easy. So here's our sentence. Geologists estimate it to be 17,000 years old. Maybe our writer doesn't want to focus on the word geologists or what they did. Maybe the writer thinks that Mount Vesuvius is more important than the geologists. And they want to make Mount Vesuvius the most important thing in the sentence. Now we must remember, if we want something to be the most important thing, we want to write about that. So we make that thing, Mount Vesuvius, we make it into the subject of our sentence, what the sentence is all about. Okay? So, how do we make Mount Vesuvius the subject? Well, we take our sentence. Now, if we just put the object, the word it, at the start of the sentence, then we end up with it estimate to be about 17,000 years old, and we can add by geologists. But when we read that, it just doesn't sound right. And anyway, Mount Vesuvius is a giant mountain of rock and lava, so it cannot estimate something. It doesn't have a brain, it can't think. Okay? This just doesn't sound right. So we have to change it from an active sentence into a passive sentence. So we take this object, it, we move it to the beginning, which makes it estimate it to be about 17,000 years old. But we have to change the verb, which is an active verb, into this passive verb. Remember yesterday, all those sentences we used, those sentences had the verb to be and then verb 3. That's all we need to do. We just change the verb into the verb to be plus verb 3. Now, it is estimated to be about 17,000 years old. So we've added the verb to be, is, and we've changed estimate into the verb 3, estimated. That's all we need to do. Now it is a passive sentence. It is estimated to be about 17,000 years old. So, here it is. Now look at the first sentence. Red, green, blue. Geologists estimate it. In our passive voice, we've got it switched around. We start with the blue. We've gone to the green. There's no red. Do we need it? Well, when we write this passive sentence, as I said, the sentence is all about the object, it. We've put it at the beginning. Now we want to know about the object. We want to know about Mount Vesuvius and what is happening to it. Sometimes we don't care who did the estimating. So we don't need to mention the geologists. Or sometimes it's obvious. If we hear that someone estimated a mountain to be 17,000 years old, who did that? Well, it must have been a scientist. And the scientists who study mountains and rocks, those people are geologists. So it's kind of obvious and we can guess it must have been a geologist who estimated it to be 17,000 years old. So when it's obvious and we can guess who did it, then we don't always need to say who actually thought about it. But if we want to include the agent, if we want to include the person or thing that did the action, we can just add it by using the word by. It is estimated to be about 17,000 years old by geologists. Okay, in some passive sentences, we need to include the agent, otherwise it doesn't make sense. But sometimes, like when it's obvious, we can choose to leave it out. Now, I want you to change your sentences that you wrote before into the passive voice. It's easier than it sounds. All we're going to do is make the object, the blue word, of your active sentence into the subject of the passive sentence. So we're going to put the blue word at the beginning. Easy. So we have Vesuvius destroyed Pompeii in only a day. We're going to put the blue word at the beginning. That's easy. Next, we have to use the verb. Now the verb, we need to change it into the passive verb. So we need to add the verb to be, followed by verb 3. Now the word destroyed, this verb is already the past tense. Okay, so this sentence is in the past. So when we add our verb to be, that must also be in the past. So we can use was or were. Okay, which one do we use? Well, it all depends. The word Pompeii, is it singular or is it plural? How many Pompeis are there? Well, there's only one. It's the name of a city. There's one. If there's only one, then we use was. If there were many Pompeis, we might use two, but there isn't. So, Pompeii was destroyed in only a day by Vesuvius. And I've added the agent, Vesuvius, the thing that did the action. I've added that at the end with the word by. Pompeii was destroyed in only a day by Vesuvius. But if we wanted to, we can move some things around and it's still correct. We could say, if we wanted to, Pompeii was destroyed by Vesuvius in only a day. And this time, what we've done is we have put the agent there and the time words at the very end. Time words can move around quite a lot. If we wanted to, we could start our sentence with the words, in only a day, comma, Pompeii was destroyed by Vesuvius. That's also correct. Now, what I want you to do is in your books, take your sentences. All you have to do is, instead of what you already have, which is red, green, blue, just switch it around so it's blue, green, and red. Add the verb to be, but take a look at it first. Is the thing before it, is it singular or plural? So, most of Pompeii's inhabitants. Is that single and has the word was? Or is it plural and needs were? Okay, is it was killed or were killed? So that's what you do for number 2. Do the same for number 3. The same for number 4. Be careful with number 5. Scientists know this is in the present tense. So we cannot use was or were. We'll have to use is or something like that. Is or are. Okay? Do that, and then when you've finished, what I want you to do is open up the Google quiz, which is on the Google Classroom, the same place where you found the link to this video. Okay, open up the Google quiz, and there are some questions about finding the subject, finding the verb, finding the object. And at the very end, then I want you to write your passive sentences that you've created here for number 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay? If you have any questions, come to the Google Classroom and ask me. Okay? You might not master passive voice today. Don't worry. It takes a little bit of time, but we've got to learn it so we can get those points from Cambridge. Okay? I'll see you in the Google Classroom today, or if not, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.